Hi guys, and welcome to the first episode in the new series Magical Theory. I'm going to talk today about how using a theory called offbeat can make your past completely invisible. Okay, let's talk about offbeat. Now offbeat is, I don't know if you know about offbeat and onbeat. If you do, then great, bear with me for a second, I'll just explain for those that don't. Every trick is made up of like a wave. You can imagine this wave. Up the top of the peak here is called an onbeat, and underneath is an offbeat. So what you will have is a spectator when they're watching you and they're paying attention to what you're doing and what the moves you're doing. This is called an onbeat. Now most of your effect will be an onbeat. Every time you do a double lift, it's an on-beat. If you do a flourish, a shuffle, it's an on-beat moment. But when you have off-beat moments, these are the moments where you try and use your secret moves. So these are moves where you do things like top changes, the pass, palming a card, things where you do it on and off-beat, where you don't want anybody to know. These moves are what I call secret moves. So these moves are things that you will spend hours practicing, days, months, years practicing, but then nobody will ever know or should ever know that you can do these moves. Very frustrating, isn't it? It's a real weird thing, but it's very frustrating because you want to show people that you've put the time in. Especially on social media these days, you want to show people that you put the time in to learn a move, and so you perform it to a camera. Some moves are perfect for this, some moves aren't, and I believe all these secret moves shouldn't be done on an onbeat. Now, let me just explain why we have onbeats and offbeats in Magic and why we use them the way we do. A memory of a spectator, when a spectator thinks back to a trick and they remember the trick, all they will remember is a series of on-beats that they will sort of put together to create this trick in their mind, what they remember. So what's nice about that is you can manipulate what a spectator will remember compared to what you do, and you'll find a lot of the time people will completely misremember tricks because they're only remembering the parts where they were paying attention. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. So you've got all these kind of moments in a trick that will become completely forgotten, invisible, and not even in their mind when they think back to the trick. And this is where you want to put in moves that are invisible, that are secret. So how can magical theory, and in this case an offbeat, help make your past invisible? Let me explain. So let me show you my past, just so we can show you what I'm dealing with. I mean, I'm not saying that the offbeat should replace technique. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying how to make it completely invisible. So what people will do when they try to make it invisible, they'll keep practicing this technique until they get it down. So the two of clubs in this case, as they close the deck up, they'll square up and it'll be on top of the deck. They're nice, invisible. I keep doing this for the next 40 years. I'll be able to do it so that nobody would ever see me put that on top of the deck. That's what people have in their minds when they're practicing, especially people that are learning off YouTube tutorials and are thinking about performing their moves into a camera. That's what's in their head. How can I get this move to be so invisible? Yeah. So whatever that is, 7 of spades. Alright, so we close the deck up and the 7 of spades comes to the top. Alright, so even though I'm doing this slightly off shot, I'm trying to keep it up as high as I can so my hands aren't in the normal position. So we take the 9 of hearts, right? So as I come in and I pass and it ends up here, it's all well and good, but something still happens. Something doesn't pass in, something is still happening. It doesn't look quite right. But it's irrelevant whether you can do it invisibly, visibly, like whether you do it perfectly. It always looks like something's happening. And rather than putting in 20 years of practice to make this move invisible, use theory to actually make it invisible. And what I mean by that is, this idea of creating the memory of on-beats while making the off-beats vanish is an actual thing, and it does exist, and it is an amazing way of constructing what people remember. So anything you put in this off-beat will become invisible. So let me give you an example. In my 6-card routine, I know I bang on about this trick a lot, but this is a perfect example. I have to do a pass, so I chose to do a pass in the move. Now I have 6 cards chosen, and as I'm putting them back in, the first one goes in the middle and I hold a break and I say to the second person to say stop, and they put their card in. Alright, so I know this isn't the first person's card. Now what I could do here, as a card goes in, I could come back and I could pass it back to the top. Alright, exactly where it needs to be, but it's an on-beat. So 2 problems with doing it on an on-beat. One, especially if you're just getting into magic and you want to start doing a pass, is you're so nervous because it's an on-beat where you know people are watching you, where you're asking people to watch you, and then you're having this really tough move that is quite angry, especially if you've got more than one person. Fine doing it to a camera where you can get the angle right, but when you've got people all around you, it's a really worrying move to do with people all around. So you tend to tense up and you tend to like not do the move or not do the trick because you're worried about the move being seen. All right. So this is an example of creating an offbeat. So the first card goes back in, the second card goes back, and then I'll say to the first person, was that yours? No, and it isn't. Was that your card? No? Nah, would have been lucky. Would have been epic. And that little moment, just said that way with a bit of lightheartedness, they laugh. I mean, it's not about, don't bring the house down, but they laugh, you know. And as I do that, my body relaxes. I go, yeah, would have been lucky, would have been epic. And I come in and I do my pass then, right? So I'll bring it back up to the top. I'll do so you can see actual move. So the card goes in, there's the clubs. I'll say to the first person, was that yours? No? Yeah, would have been lucky, would have been epic, as you come back in and you pass, right? But the point is, it's irrelevant whether I do this move perfectly or whether I do it with a little bit rough, or the finger comes out, or whatever it is. The point is with this move is that because they're having that little giggle, and this isn't about saying, look over there and doing the pass. It's not misdirection, that's what I'm talking about. It's about creating an offbeat. So that little moment of, would have been lucky, would have been epic. Yeah. You know, and it just creates a little moment where they just laugh, they relax, and then they come back to watching you. In that time, the best way I can describe how that would look to a spectator in their mind as they remember it, is the cards are here. If you then close your eyes and open them again, that's what it's like for their memory. So as it comes down, just do me a favour, just literally, you're going to close your eyes for like 2 seconds. Ready? So just close your eyes, open your eyes. That's what they will remember. Nothing happened. Alright, I could have literally done this if I wanted and just put it there, but I'll do a pass because it's. But the point is, it is completely invisible because they're not paying attention. Their memory won't go into their memory. It will never exist. Like true invisible pass is about distracting their attention away from you doing the move. Still do it well. You can't be like going at that moment. They'll catch you doing that. But my point is, that little moment, whatever it is, you can create a moment. So try to use this knowledge that you have now of on-beats and off-beats to routine your tricks together. So there's little moments where if you've got a move coming up, like a top change, it doesn't have to be major. It could just be like, you know, show the card and say, you still got your card, you've got your, like just a little conversation, a little something. So it's obvious stuff. A little gesture, a little comment, just say, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's a moment where they have to sort of come away from going, watching, to just kind of look up, to respond, to look back, or whatever it is. You're going to create a moment where they won't, and nothing you did in that moment will go into their memory. Now you're going to take away like 1 second here, 2 seconds here. You're going to literally pluck away moments from their memories. It's amazing. So much stronger than saying to someone, watch, put your card back in and watch my hands, look, and do the move, because all they'll do is attribute skill to what you did, which is fine. But if you're trying to create a sense of impossibility, well, skill isn't impossible. Skill's just, you know, when a bartender does flaring with the bottles, it's not impossible what he's doing, it's just he's taking time to learn it. But as a magician, you want to sort of go beyond skill. We know magic doesn't exist, but you want to go beyond skill where they kind of don't know where to put what you just did. Alright, so I will now lead into another one which I want to do in a minute, which is called the moment of astonishment, which is a Paul Harris idea. But when you go beyond skill and you do something that they can't explain, they have a moment of astonishment which is so much stronger, because in everyone's mind they have boxes. This box, as you grow up, you know, this box tells me that I can't walk into the side of that table because that's hard, it'll hurt my head. And this box tells me my pillow is soft, and this box tells me this food tastes nice. You've got millions of these boxes. Alright, so what you want to hand somebody is something, and there is a box that says he's a skillful guy, or he learned this with skill. There is a box. The sooner somebody can take the trick that you've just done and put it into a box, that's when the moment of astonishment disappears. Alright, so what you need to do is hand them something that they can't place anywhere in their mind. They don't have a box for it. The longer they're holding what you did before they go, oh, he's a magician, and they put it in that box, the longer they hold this, the more that they're amazed and they don't know what to do. Paul Harris is a genius at this. It was his idea, and it's a wonderful concept. And offbeats allow you to create something that takes it beyond skill, so that when you hand them, and this is in their head, when you do whatever you do, and it blows their mind, and then they've got this trick in their head, they hold on to what you've just done, and they're trying to put it somewhere. They're trying to put it down in their mind into a box that they've got of rational stuff, and it doesn't fit in any box, because what you've done is beyond skill. All right, it's kind of a deep thing, but I'm just saying, if you do a pass in front of somebody and ask them to watch you do it, and you go and you do the pass, they'll just think you did something skillful. That's the moment it happened, and I didn't see you do it, but that's the moment it happened. It's obvious. Whereas if you do all these moves invisibly on that offbeat, what happens is they remember all the onbeats. So I chose a card, I put it back, he gave it to me to shuffle, he then pulled the card out of his wallet. What? No, I didn't. Wait, he didn't shuffle the cards. He didn't touch the cards. Yeah, you've created this false memory, and you've heard people say he never touched the cards. Omnideck is another beautiful example of this. When they open their hand up and the cards are glass, and they're like, you never touched them, they were in my hands. They'll forget the moment on that offbeat when you were chalking and laughing, or in between a trick. In between tricks is a lovely offbeat when they've just seen one effect and they're like, what the fuck? And as they're doing that, that's a massive offbeat. They're busy doing that, so all happens on the offbeat is not in their memory. So when you hand them the cards, in their head, they saw you do a trick, and then they saw you hand the card straight to them, and they held on to them. There's nothing in between. That disappears. And then they open up and there's a piece of glass in their hand, and it's just wonderful. It's another really exciting moment where when the offbeat is used to do the move, and then you give them the cards, and then you focus the onbeat so strongly because you've done the move, you're ahead of them. That's not because you're a mate, not about a technique to switch the cards in and out was so perfect. It's because you use the offbeat to do the move, and then use the onbeat to do the prestige. So really, really bear that in mind. And while you're learning these moves on YouTube and everything else, learn them to go and perform them, because it's so much stronger when you can do these moves. And also get over the fact that you're going to take hours and hours and hours to practice something that nobody will ever know you can do. It's a horrible thing. I don't think there's any other art that has that. You know, if you learn to paint, people see your paintings. If you learn a piece of music, they can hear your music. I think it's only in magic where you learn something specifically so nobody ever sees you do it. It's a horrible thing, but try and flip that and make that into a wonderful thing where you've got this secret. I mean, my other bugbear on this exact same idea is second dealing. When people do second dealing demonstrations, you can make second dealing invisible and done in such a way that it creates this beautiful piece of magic. Or you can say to someone, look at this, I can deal from the second. I'll turn the card face up so I can show you, look, I can deal from the second. I mean, why learn this invisible move? You're going to just show everyone what you're doing. You're basically showing them, you know, the secret, really. Apart from saying, oh, this is the grip and this is how I take it, you're saying I can deal seconds, which never made any sense to me. As much as Richard Turner is mad good, and no doubt about that, I'm not taking anything away from his technique or his act, but I just don't see the point in showing people that you can deal seconds. Do you know what I mean? It's weird. It's like saying, this is me palming a card. I don't know. I just feel like those moves are designed, and that's what card cheats do. They don't let on that they know any moves at all. So when they do something, it's just impossible what's happened. So yeah, if you take your ego out slightly and let those moves stay invisible and use the offbeat, you'll create moments of just absolute astonishment, which will last a lot longer than showing someone that you can cut a deck really quickly without them seeing. Because bear in mind, essentially what you're doing by showing someone a pass, you're doing one phase of an ambitious card. That's it. It's not earth-shattering. I mean, it's to you, and by all means show your magic friends. You know, if you've got a YouTube channel that is all magicians, then yeah, show your pass and do all that stuff. But try not to show people that you're doing the pass. It's just, you know, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I've got a magician friend whose channel I watch a lot, and he's amazing, but he does the pass a lot to the camera. And his action of doing the pass, he does that theory of the larger action covers a smaller action. He does this thing. Every time he does a pass, he does that. And you can't see the pass, it's beautiful pass, but you know that's when it happened. So it's a skill thing rather than a magic thing. So If you want to make your magic stronger and you want to make your past invisible, do it on the offbeat. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, and these theory videos, I really want them to become discussions, so I'd like you to please leave a comment, let me know what you think, whether you agree, whether you disagree. I will answer every single comment that goes on these videos, and open up a discussion. By all means jump in, talk to other people on their comments, and let's just have a discussion about all the things in theory. Also let me know what you'd like me to discuss in future. I will expand upon the moment of astonishment theory in the next video. But give me ideas, give me recommendations, and I'll see if I can put something together for you. In the meantime, leave a like, leave a comment, big love, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.